stay at his place for a few days. He said he didn't mind at all, but he would have to ask his parents. Martin's mother was a kind woman, and she let me stay. That's how I began living with my friend. I was a little surprised that my mother still wasn't looking for me. However, after all, I now had a new home and a new computer. Everything I needed. I kept going to school and played Minecraft with Martin in the evenings. Of course, it was his computer, so we took turns. But it wasn't enough for me, so I started coming up with excuses to spend more time playing. Martin, I really need to keep playing. I can't give you the computer right now. Do something else for a while, I would say. Of course, he didn't like that very much. It went on for several days, and I was so engrossed in the game that I didn't notice that Martin had stopped talking to me. One day, soon after that, we had a big fight. He said that all I needed was his computer, food, and a place to sleep. That I was not interested in being his friend anymore. I got angry. Oh yeah? Then we're not friends anymore, I said. I packed my things and left Martin's home. I was walking down the street and thinking, why was everyone treating me like that? Why wouldn't anyone give me what I wanted? They all demanded something from me. My mother wanted me to study, Martin to appreciate his friendship. They were all so selfish. Because of those people, I was back on the street. Where else could I go? I decided to head to school. Even though it was evening, the school was still open. I told the security guard I needed to go to the library, and he let me through. I ate what I had taken from Martin's house and waited for everyone to leave and the school to close. When the guard began making his rounds, I hid behind the bookshelves, and he didn't see me. Then he left as well. The school went quiet. I searched for something to do. That's when I remembered we had a computer class at school. I quietly made my way there and turned on the coolest computer. Installing Minecraft was easy, and I spent the whole night playing. But it turned out that playing on an empty stomach was not cool at all, and I had no food left. I could barely keep my eyes open the next day at school. When I went to the canteen, I fell asleep face down on a plate. I began living at school. I slept in classes during the day and hid in the library and waited for school to close in the evenings. I spent the nights playing the computer. However, something began to change. I realized that I didn't like living like that. Mom and Martin had probably forgotten about me. I didn't have anyone else to help me. Minecraft didn't make me happy anymore either. Why hadn't I appreciated my own life? I started to think I had made a mistake. A week passed like that. I barely studied in class and didn't do any homework at all. After all, you were supposed to do it at home, and I lived at school. Little wonder that I failed all the tests I could, and was eventually called to the principal's office. He said that I had the lowest academic performance among everyone at school, and they had no choice but to expel me. What? Not that it was a surprise to me, but the news came so suddenly and at the worst possible moment. I asked him to give me another week, promised that I would change, become better, but the principal was strict and told me to go pack my things. I was back on the streets and had nowhere to go anymore. Was I truly homeless now? I imagined what my life would be like in the future. I would live in a cardboard box in an alley and beg passerby for money. The thought brought tears to my eyes. I didn't want my life to become like that. By lunchtime, my stomach was rumbling like a tractor. I hadn't eaten since that morning, and I had no money at all. Get used to it, Rob. This is what your life is going to be like from now on, I told myself. I endured as much as I could, but after a couple of hours, the hunger became unbearable. What could I do? I was ready for anything. I decided to steal. That's what desperation can lead you to. I walked into a store and began to walk between the rows. When there was no one around, I pulled a box of donuts off a shelf and hid it under my clothes. Had I really just done that? Looking calm, I headed out of the store, as if I hadn't taken anything. All of a sudden, someone grabbed me by the arm. It was a security guard. He asked me what I was hiding. I started shouting that he had no right, and at that moment, the donuts fell onto the floor. I was caught red-handed. I had no choice but to confess to the theft. The police arrived a few minutes after that, and the officers brought me to the police station. I was sitting in a cell thinking about my life, how quickly it had all happened. Not so long ago, I'd never denied myself anything. And that day, I had 1 foot in prison. Only then did I realize what real life was all about, and how frivolous I had been before. I'd been just a little kid playing computer games and feeling good about myself. What an idiot I had been. I was very angry with myself and thought I'd got everything I deserved. I had been sitting there for a while when they told me that someone had come to get me, and they were letting me go. What? Who could it be? Did someone care about me after all? I came out of the police station and saw my mom. She looked at me and smiled. I felt so ashamed that I covered my face and burst out crying. My mother hugged me and led me to the car. On the way home, she told me everything. It turned out that she had always been there for me. When I went to Martin, his mother immediately called mine and told her that I was staying with them. She also knew I had been living at school. No matter how well I had hidden, the security guard had still noticed me and called the principal, who then called my mother, and she asked him to play along and let me do what I wanted. They really had kicked me out of the school. That hadn't been a lie. My mom had already been waiting in the car outside of school, watching me. When I went to the store, she realized what was going to happen and warned the security guard. After I was taken to the police, she paid a fine for the donuts and I was released. But why did you do all of it? I was surprised. So you would understand what adult life is like, my mother replied. And you know what? I think I do understand. I feel ashamed of the way I used to be. I don't want to play games anymore, and I'm not upset about the broken laptop. I realized that it wasn't the most important thing in life. I came back home and decided to start all over again. What do you think? What should I do first? Find a new school, make up with Martin, or fix my laptop? Write ideas in the comments.